benefit differently.
So you actually get the pickers to pick and be very selective with the grapes that they are choosing, and they taste them at the same time in order to find the best quality grapes. Is that correct?
They're not generally tasting, but yeah, they are picking by hand and saying this bunch is completely ripe. The picking.
But do you guys taste it?
Oh, we're when we're walking through the vineyard, we're tasting grapes all the time. And you chew on the seeds, and you chew on the skins, and you just kind of evaluate the texture of the grape and feel how it's evolving. But when a machine harvester comes through and anything that could fall, a half ripe bunch of grapes could fall into that bin. So it's just
The personal
economies of
touch.
scale, it's a personal touch.
Okay.
And you'll see wineries who promote themselves hand-picked. There's a good reason for that. It takes a lot of more manpower, and especially when you have wages rising so quickly, it costs more to enforce hand-picked and with that type of quality. But I think you also you get what you pay for on both ends. The consumer gets what they pay for when they're buying the product, but the producer is also getting what they pay for by having and paying for someone to selectively pick each bunch of grapes.
Now, the business of wine itself, how do you guys able to sustain yourself? Because it is very costly for one thing, and at the same time to store the wines and wait for them to mature, and then release them to the market at a later part. How does it work?
It can be costly as you sit and wait. But there's even more than just waiting and saying, okay, we have these wines stored for a couple of years. It's what if the wine's not good in a couple of years? Just what if? What if the ratio of we blend all of our wines? We do believe in order to produce a great style of wine by bringing two different grape varieties together, you can create more depth and more balance. But it could not work at the same time. You could find that a couple of years go by and you open that bottle up and you get more Carmenere intensity than you ever intended. And you may find that, wow, this wine's just not ready yet. We got to put it back in the cellar for another 6 months to a year before it's ready to go out into the marketplace. Fortunately, I find that our wines are quite resilient in that they cellar very gracefully, they last for a long time.
So you have no experience whatsoever where your wines will go bad and you get to discard it all.
Correct. Not yet. So let's fingers crossed that we won't run into that situation. But we test the wines from how are they going to do well in heat, how are the wines going to travel. When we're on a boat shipping back and forth and all that movement, they're on that boat for 2 months, rocking back and forth, and then you get to somewhere like Singapore, where you have very hot days and it's sitting outside for maybe just a couple of days and it's up to 30, 35 degrees and inside a container it's even hotter than that. You need to know that your wines can handle that type of pressure.
Let's talk about inflation. Do you have problems with inflation, and do you foresee that inflation is going to be a factor in Chile in the coming months because the U.S. dollar, the euro prices right now seems to be unstable. How does your company able to encounter such problems, and do you have anything to hedge against it?
Another great question. I think that one of the most challenging aspects of being a global company and being an entrepreneur, being in any global business, are the financial markets. And even more than inflation affecting our company and our business is the value of the peso. And the value of the peso is almost directly correlated to the price of copper. And then you have what all affects the price of copper. And you have everything affecting the price of copper. Tech companies, automotive, then you have how are the mining companies structured. When copper controls a large portion of the GDP in Chile. So we set our pricing in US dollars. We purchase our barrels and our corks in euro. We purchase anything else that we need locally in the Chilean peso, and then we sell in the US dollar. So keeping track of all that, and then you have the fluctuations of the euro, the fluctuations of the dollar, and that we are selling in Asia, and what is the expectation of consumerism in Asia. We are cautiously optimistic that things are going to continue to grow in Asia. I think Asia as a whole has been very conservative, watching what's taking place in Europe, watching what's happening in the US. Asia went through the Asian crisis years ago, and I think that there was a large learning experience that took place there, and the governments and financial markets have been very cautious about setting themselves up for another big fall. And so I think there's still so much growth and potential and opportunity in Asia. I describe it as the scraps that fall on the floor here in Asia are better than the best meals that you're going to get in Europe right now.
Really?
So
Wow. Now, before we conclude that statement, do you think that if should the currency fall, such as the US dollar and the euro prices and the euro currency itself, and everybody starts using new money, which is gold and silver, how does that going to affect your wine business? Are you guys going to be ready for it?
I think that the way that we are looking to capture our clients and our markets is that we want to be known for quality. And the question would then come to, are people still willing to pay for quality? And are they willing to pay for quality when it comes to something that is a non-essential? And wine is a non-essential. Alcohol in general is a non-essential, but alcohol has also been something that's, though you can list it as non-essential, it's essential in the global cultures. And I think that we are, with our focus, to capture the hearts and know our customers. Know that people will know me, people will know our product, and that we will have that loyalty. I think that's the best that we can hope for, given, hopefully, that we don't face such an economic crisis. But given that, I don't think that we certainly wouldn't be alone in failure should that serious situation take place.
Now, if I was a new wine drinker, as well as for those who are seasoned wine drinkers, what would you recommend for Pengwine series?
I would always recommend drink what you like. But from our wines, I would say you want to start with our Galapagos, work your way up through the Pengwines or the wines, if you will. And if you want to know what a great wine should be, our premium wines, our King, our Royal, and our Emperor really are elegant, sophisticated wines. But I would not put any expectation on someone just getting into wines. If you like sweet wines, drink sweet wines. If you like dry wines, drink dry wines. Wine is not a destination. Wine is a journey that never ends. I, every day, probably see 10 to 20 wine labels posted on Instagram or Facebook that I've never seen before and I may never get to try. There are over 13,000 wine labels out there. And if you're going to try 10 a day, and every day be something different, you may finally catch up. But then you not only have the wines, the labels that are different, now you have vintages that are different. So now you have 13,000 wines that are different each year. So it's endless. It's endless. So the important thing is that, for me, wine isn't really just about the wine itself. It's about the moment it's shared.
Oh, okay. Now, speaking about the moment it's shared, what would be the most memorable experience so far, by far, to date, that you and your partner have experienced after setting up this great company, Pengwine? what would be the one experience that has satisfied you?
I would say collectively, he and I together, we don't get to spend time traveling the world together very often. And for me, it would be that we went to launch one of our wines at the Dusatani in Bangkok. 5-star hotel, very elite group, and my partner is able to be in Asia for that. We were able to go together. I'm usually doing a lot of sales. He's overseeing the operation. So the fact that together we were able to see people on the other side of the planet enjoying our wines, having a great time, raising their glass, and knowing that 4 years before that date, all we could do was hope for that moment. And 4 years later, they're drinking that very product that we had just put in that bottle and hand-labeled ourselves, hand-cased ourselves. And to see them enjoying themselves, that would probably be, for me, the best moment that I've had so far.
Now, how did you manage to balance work life and your family? So it must be having a real challenge, you know. I mean, having to travel around the world and everything else. I mean, being the wine owner and you know.
It does have its challenges.
What would be your 3 key advice would you give as a father? You know, as a father, being able to understand your children, especially, you know, because many fathers out there are trying to understand how can they be in 2 places in one go.
How to keep that balance.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we're fortunate to have technology, so we Skype, etc. Though my daughters are just now coming into the age where they can use Skype on an iPad, etc. Just every moment that you can hug your child, you hug your child. You will have bad days, you will have frustrating days. A hug goes a long way, and it's not just for them or for you, but it's a combination of those things. Every moment counts. And whether you're on an airplane, as a father, you're always missing your children no matter where you are. So I would say my wife and I have always had a philosophy of quality versus quantity. And that actually shows true in our wines. Rather than having a lot of something, when you have something, just make sure that it's good. So if those moments with the children as a family, make sure that the best moment you can create. And when you're away, so that's the time to stay focused on your work, etc. But quality versus quantity is absolutely key.
And speaking about keys, I mean, what are your 3 keys to success in your business today as a wine owner between you and your partner that have set up? You know, because there are many other aspiring entrepreneurs who wants to set up a wine winery or wine business or even a retail shop. They like to learn from you what is the key and most fundamental ways to succeed in life.
Persistence. Persistence is absolutely key. Never have expectation. You may have a hope, you may have a desire, but you will only be disappointed if you go into something with expectation. And by not having expectation, you will generally be pleased with the outcome. It's not to say don't have goals. Always have goals. Always strive to achieve something, but try not to have expectation about how it's going to work out. And persistence and resilience is absolutely key. You will fail. Everybody will fail. It's the only way to succeed is to get back up. I have failed many times, and every time I have failed, I've looked at what did I learn, how can I make that better, but I can't stop. This is my dream. This is my passion, and I know in my heart I will succeed. That whatever it is, if I give it enough, then you really can't fail. And at the end of the day, if you look at everything in isolation, it may be much more difficult. Look at the big picture of progress and achievement. Take care of the people around you, and try not to burn bridges. Business does become business once in a while, But for the most part, if you give, things will come back to you. If you give with expectation, again, you may not get what you want.
Wow, well said. And speaking about giving, we have some bottles of wine here that you have created. What are they right now? Are these like the new version of Pengwine?
This is our new look. This is the new face of Pengwine.
Oh wow.
They are not yet on the market. They will be very, very soon. They have arrived here in Asia, and we'll be releasing them within the next couple of weeks. Especially our King, our Royal, and our Emperor, I'm ecstatic about. The Emperor was something that we put in the barrel. The first one was 2006. We blended it with a wine from 2007 and put it in the bottle for 3 years before we could even come up with a label.
Oh wow.
And finally, it's being brought to market. And so it's taken us a long time to come up with that product.
Amazing. And now, who designed all these labels and names? Was it you behind it?
My partner and I came up with, we worked with different designers, the idea of Pengwine, the idea of different penguins. I would say through the course of trial and error, we also kind of figure out what works, what doesn't. And of the three premiums, being the King, the Royal, and the Emperor, it fit. Those are the three most majestic of penguins, and those are our absolute best wines. And the Emperor, we don't make that much of it. Everything that we do is quality versus quantity, and so the Emperor is something that we've kind of said we're not completely playing by the rules. In that there's an expectation of vintage, grape variety. It has to be this. You have to say what it is on the label. And we do that with our King, which is the only blend of its kind in the world. We do that with our Royal, which is a very almost traditional Bordeaux style. But the Royal and the King differ from the Emperor in that the Emperor does not have a vintage.
Really?
So the Emperor is number one.
So it's a mystery then?
It is a mystery. And we don't put on the back of the label what the grape varieties are or what vintage it came from. All I can tell you is it's our best one.
Why would you want to keep it a mystery?
Not that we're trying to keep anything from anyone, but I believe that if you want to drink a great wine, do you care what year it came from? Do you care, beyond knowing that it's a very, very good wine, do you care? Because you're going to have to try it anyway to find out if you like it, no matter what wine it is. And I am saying, this is our best wine. This is the best wine that we can produce. Well, in order to make it, we had to break a little of the expectations or the cliches of how to make a great wine.
Well said and done. What happened to your wife and your children? Didn't they help you to name the wines or anything like that?
Well, in fact, it was Max's daughter who came up with the name Pengwine.
Oh, really?
We were playing around with it. Max wanted a penguin on the label, and it sounded good to me.
Oh, okay.
And
what does his wife have to say about it?
make more.
Did your children enjoy naming, or they try to name any balls?
No, they're curious. They're still young, so they don't drink it, but they smell every bottle that gets over to my house. They want to smell it.
Do they get to name the wine next time?
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
It could be.
Well said by the great Grandmaster of Pengwine. And folks, thank you for joining me here at the National Prince Choice set with Chris Malekith and Robin Stienberg here. And enjoy your week and enjoy Pengwines if you do get a chance. And they're going to be out in the market. And once again, Robin Stienberg here at the National Prince Choice. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate it.
Gosh. I can't believe this. I knew it would drain me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought that went well.
Every time I do this interview, it drains me like crazy. Whoa. It's 1 hour, it's 30 minutes plus 30.